Hi, this is Laura Holyoke. I have some information to share with you about program evaluation. I almost said planning. I wanted to share a cartoon with you. Hey guys, did you read this part? It basically says we need an evaluation to keep getting money, which is so true for many programs and especially grants and contracts. You have to show that what your program is doing is actually helping, doing what it's intended to do, and you do that through program evaluation. I am hoping that everything that I have to share with you right now will be a repeat since you have been reading up on program evaluation from the links that we have and the workbooks that I have actually for you on BBLearn. So a quick overview. Program evaluation is an organized method of collecting and analyzing information about program activities, characteristics, and outcomes to measure program effectiveness and provide input into program improvement. So evaluation doesn't always happen just at the end of a program. However, at the beginning of every evaluation, one person says, "I know our project works." The other person says, "No, you don't." So how do you know? Why evaluate? There's several reasons why program evaluations are conducted. One is to demonstrate accountability for funding that you've received, to determine future directions of a program or an activity, to help fine-tune or improve a program. What you are doing may not be the best, and so you learn from the evaluation what you can do better, what you can change, adjust to changing situations that happen in the environment that you didn't anticipate when the program started. Determine if program objectives were met. So when you wrote out your program plan, you had several objectives that you wanted to complete, and are these being met? Also, to discover the impact a program had on participants. This would happen at the end of a program, and this is, ultimately the mission, the ultimate goal of what you want to accomplish from the program. To obtain information for decision makers. A lot of times these are funders or people that are deciding whether the program will simply continue or not. Provide information for reports. This is what many of us usually think about when we think about program evaluation, that we collect information and then it goes into a nice binder and sits on a shelf and collects dust. And then also to determine the best program delivery strategies. The way we may be delivering our program may not be the best way. So it helps determine how successful a program is in achieving the desired outcomes. If some of these words sound familiar to you, it's because most of them are included in the logic model. How a program process is unfolding, that is, how well are you implementing the program, or how well is a program being implemented? What aspects of a program are working well? These are outcomes, and sometimes unintended outcomes that are happening that you didn't think would happen. What needs to be improved upon or even changed? These can be the activities and or outputs, along with the level of satisfaction with a program. So the outcomes and whether we are getting what we want or not want as a result. So other reasons to evaluate. Program funders or grant makers often ask many of these questions. We gave you $500,000 the last 3 years. What did your program do with those dollars? We've supported your program for the last 15 years. Why should we continue this support? Is your program effective? It says that it's going to do X, Y, Z. Is it doing X, Y, Z? What are you doing to improve or terminate ineffective program elements? All these can be answered through program evaluation. Basically, there are two broad kinds of evaluation questions. One area of questions are process or formative questions. These are really aimed at improving a program. So how well is the program operating? How well did we implement different activities in the program? Are the outputs what we said that they would be? These are usually, let's say, if you have a grant that's for 5 years, process or formative evaluations often happen years 1 through 4. And then outcome and result focused or summative questions help to prove whether the program worked the way it was intended. So these kind of evaluations can be done years 2 through 5. So if you look at the output versus outcome, are the outcomes what we say that they're going to be, short term, medium term, and then long term. So is it getting the intended results? So I look at the logic model again, and you can start to see the different kinds of evaluation, or even the different kinds of evaluation questions. And this is where we're going to focus for our program evaluation plan. Evaluation plan. I get my words all mixed up. So you can see along the bottom, we are not going to worry about a needs assessment or evaluating needs. We're going to pretend that that's already been done. But you can see in a process evaluation or process questions, measure and monitor how the program or policy is being implemented. An outcome questions or outcome evaluation is used to determine the extent to which the goals and objectives of our program are being achieved. And then finally, the impact evaluation or impact questions measure whether our program has caused the desired impacts that we said. These are our ultimate goals, sometimes included in our mission statement as well. So I think this slide in particular should be very helpful in completing your program evaluation plan assignment. This is also why it's very important in your logic model to ensure that you have the correct information in the correct columns. So characteristics of a good evaluation questions, they're practical and measurable. They can be answered through some sort of data collection process. They're reflective of the type of evaluation being carried out. And the information that you need to answer questions, it's there. What is it that you wish to know? What are the indicators that will show you that? We're going to talk about, I'll talk about those in my next presentation, really going over the different kinds of questions and characteristics of those questions. So what can be evaluated or should be evaluated based on the logic model? What parts of the logic model should be evaluated after 1, 3, or 5 years? Remember, so after 1 year, it's those process questions. And process questions can also be evaluated in years 1 through 4. And then how does this help us direct what can be asked? So the slide that I just showed you, the logic model with the different columns, can be very helpful for these questions that you're looking at here. Person on the left says, you say your program works, but why should I believe you? And the person on the right says, because I have evidence, which is what you'll need to show that your program is effective. So here's an example, again, of logic model pieces laid out, and then evaluation questions along the bottom. So you can see under the green, these are questions that are process questions. How many sessions were actually delivered? How effectively were they delivered? The number and quality of support groups that happened. And then for the targeted parents, who and how many attended, did not attend. Did they attend all the sessions if they did? What kind of support groups, how well were those attended? Were the parents satisfied, and will they come again? So you can see where answering some of those questions, you can't wait till the very end of the year to answer them. However, you need to be collecting data as the program is running. So questions on the right-hand side of the logic model are answering questions about the outcomes. So to what extent did knowledge and skills increase? For whom did they increase and why? And then what else happened as a result of the activities that were offered? And then medium-term outcomes. To what extent did the behaviors change for the parents? For whom and why, and what else happened? So you can see that these questions are a little bit the same, although the first set of questions, short-term outcomes, are knowledge and skills. And then the second set, intermediate outcomes, are about behaviors changing. And then for impact or long-term outcomes, to what extent are relations improved, and does this result in stronger families? So this, I'm not going to go over this slide in detail. However, you can see along the bottom, again, are the process, outcomes, and impact. And then the bottom half of the columns indicate what kind of information can be collected or what it would look like to align, with the different kinds of questions for evaluation. Finally, you will see, and you'll probably be reading this in your materials, that evaluation really parallels how research is conducted. So evaluation looks at certain aspects of a program. Research asks questions, looking to find out the truth. How the background and data that's collected is a lot like research, and the method with which the evaluation and research is carried out is oftentimes the same in terms of how data are collected, how they're analyzed. The guy on the left says this research is really going to help move our field forward because he's a researcher. The guy on the right says this evaluation is really going to help our program become more effective. So you can see kind of the outcomes of the two. But basically, they parallel one another very closely. And then Dilbert on the bottom says, I have the ability to quantify the unquantifiable. That is why they call me Dogbert the Quantifier. Who calls you that? 8 people. I like that humor. Finally, I have several links to different websites, but one that I want you to pay particular attention to is the American Evaluation Association. It's eval.org. If you are interested in evaluation and kind of like this is right up your alley, there is a lot of money to be made in program evaluation. If you can think about most big funding agencies like National Science Foundation, NSF, or NIH, oftentimes when they do a call for proposals for grants, they oftentimes require that a certain percentage of the grant money be used for an evaluation of the program, an annual evaluation and then a final evaluation. Oftentimes that can be 5 or 10% of the funding. And most times evaluators need to come from outside of the institution, even that where that grant is being carried out. So this website can provide you a lot of information. You can register, you can find out a lot more about evaluation, and if you're more interested as well, give me a shout. But it's, I think, a great avenue if you get this stuff. That's all I have. Thank you so much.